Good night, or good night. See, there, we're done. Gloria, we're done.
You're on the right road there. Keep driving.
Welcome to tonight's City of Casa Grande study session. First item on our agenda tonight is the long-term community trails construction project.
Thank you,
Mr.
Mayor.
Hardesty?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. Happy to bring you the proposal for the community trail project and an update for you. As you know, this is part of the strategic plan in the area of infrastructure. The goal is to increase the trail system 5% annually over the 5 years. The trail system is in the Regional Trail System Master Plan, which was embedded into the recent general plan that was voted on in May. The master plan shows potential trail locations, potential trailheads, cross-sections of trails. It's really a comprehensive plan that was presented quite a few years ago. This section of the trail, and we're titling it the Community Trail, would start at Rotary Park on Treckle at 2220 North Treckle and run 1 mile east along the Santa Cruz Wash to Peart Road. It would actually be, this line is depicted on the north side of the wash, but the trail is actually going to be constructed on the south side of the wash. Rotary Park is kind of tucked back in there.
Over the weekend, yeah.
Just to give you a quick timeline of the project, it was a CIP project approved in last year's budget. We did do an RFP process in November of 2020 in compliance with Title 34 of the Arizona Revised Statutes. During that process, Okanogan Trail Construction was selected in December. We did also have J2 Engineering do some work for us because the project does lie in a floodway, and so we need some specialized permitting for that. We did discuss this project with Transwestern Pipeline. Transwestern does have a gas line in that same area. They are on the south side, they're on the north side of the wash, and this project would be on the south side of the wash. And they gave us approval to proceed. In February, we did an aerial survey. Constructing in a floodway has some special considerations that we have to follow, and so typically that would be remove and replace anything that we do. So we can't build it up higher or build it down lower. We're trying to keep it at grade. And that permit was approved in May of this year. And of course, the final proposal was sent to us in June, which leads us to this meeting here tonight. A couple renderings that I'll show you depict the trail. Our contractor titled it the Rotary Park Trail because that's how he's titled it. Again, we're going to be calling this the Community Trail. This view is going on to the trail from Treckle Road. And there would be signage at each end of the trail. And you see up there a little farther, there's some wayfinding signage that would have some information about the trail and mileage and things like that.
Sorry. So Rotary Park's behind those bushes, right? So
Correct.
And we're going to clean those up?
Yes.
Okay.
You
So
know,
you
that's
can
really
actually
a
see the
pretty
park and
park
stuff?
beside it, though.
Yeah, so that's kind of a different project that's going to run concurrent.
Okay.
The trailhead will be across the wash. Rotary Park is getting a new playground, which was previously approved in a previous city council meeting. In August, I believe, we're doing a bunch of tree trimming. That's already been scheduled. And there'll be some ADA parking and some sidewalks and everything to connect the trail to the trailhead. We do have similar trails in Casa Grande. If you've been over to the Car McNatt Park, we have a 14-foot wide stabilized granite trail in that park. Those pictures are shown on the bottom right of your screen. It is bordered in concrete at Car McNatt Park. At the Recreation Center, we have an 8-foot wide walking trail that leads west from the Recreation Center over to Colorado Street. It is also a stabilized granite surface, but it doesn't have a border on it. This is another rendering that shows a little bit further to the east. The trail will meander somewhat. It won't be just a straight line. We'll use the existing trees and vegetation and topography to try to give it some interest and some unique flavoring. So the proposed trail will be an 8-foot wide multi-use trail. These pictures just depict kind of what it would look like. It's a stabilized granite surface which would be bordered in rock. The reason to border it in rock is because the desert can shift around quite a bit, and so the border would just give it some more stability. It is designed for walking, hiking, and biking. Equestrian would be in a future phase, and the equestrian use, if you see in the Regional Trail Master Plan, typically is not on the same trail as the walking and hiking and biking. It's typically run side by side, and it's more of a softer path, and the multi-use trail would be more of a firm path. There's a few other details in the project, would include tree trimming and brush removal. Again, we're going to be using mostly natural existing vegetation. We would be exporting all the soil that we need there. A gabion entryway at both ends, and just to give it some definition and a good look. A riprap shoulder for stability. We will have a signage package and wayfinding signage in the project, but we will not have any electrical, lighting, irrigation, or major landscaping. I said no other amenities at this time. We'll probably have a few benches and things like that, but no major landscaping along the trail. This final rendering shows what it would look like looking back from Peart Road, looking back to the west. Right now there's just a farm field and then the wash up there on the right side of the picture. On this side, we don't have parking planned. We need to look at what the city owns in that area. It would be pretty easy to construct some quick parking in that area, but the trailhead itself would be down at Rotary Park. So options for the future to continue the trail, obviously acquire easements and land agreements to extend the trail east and west. The trail would, I think my next picture shows it. This would be the extent of the trail over the next few years if we can continue the funding and continue the project. Mission Valley over there has an existing mile of trail that's concrete path. We would need to connect along a gas pipeline to get to Peart Road, and then the red would be what we're constructing in this project. The little red line for the rec center trail is already done. And then the blue lines would be future trails that we could do to extend the trail from Mission Valley all the way out to Dave White Park, if we're successful. And with that, I would stand for questions.
Hey, Steve, can you go back to the last picture with the whole map?
Yep.
So I've been talking to the Elam mining people, and they are just off the screen there to the north.
Uh-huh.
And so if you would maybe reach out to them, or I can give you contact information. They're interested. They're going to put a path. It's probably about a 2-mile path around their mine next to a 40-foot berm. And it probably behoove us to use the same material so it all looks like it's all part of the same system.
Yep.
And they're interested in actually extending that pathway. So there may be some communication that we need to have with them to connect it to some of these future, connecting points, like Dave White or Ed Hooper Park or something like that, because they're right there.
Sure. And Paul Tice and his group, we're working. There's other trail opportunities up to the north, so I'll have to get with Paul and see how that connects and extends.
All right. Great. Thank you. Anybody else have some questions or comments? Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm trying to, there we
I
go.
know.
Steve,
I'm going, who are you?
just north of this project, there's a somewhat parallel wash. Is a couple of questions. Is the source the same as far as the water source? And is there any plans for that in the future?
So are you saying where the Mission Valley Loop?
No.
Instead of, it's
Be-
further north than
between-
that?
Between Peart and Treckle, and about halfway to Rodeo Road. Yes. Yeah, there's another wash.
Right there off that road.
Sure.
The road, the words Rodeo Park.
And I'd have to refer back to the master plan and whether the city owns that property. The nice thing about this first mile of trail, we own 100% of the property.
Okay,
So that was for lack of a better term, the low-hanging fruit. We own all the property and have everything we need in that area, but we'll definitely review any area
Okay.
that's potential.
it appears that it has more water flowing in it than what we're looking at, the project. And there's a lot of vegetation. I mean, it's very, very green. I didn't know if this one takes, if this wash we're looking at will ultimately take the place of the other one. My assumption is somewhere the Santa Cruz splits and goes two paths, but I don't know that.
And I might have to defer to Terry. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, they converge back right
They
down
split
in
and
here.
converge back.
Actu- Yeah.
At Treckle?
Yeah, well, it goes around this development and then
Yeah.
it kind of comes down here.
Okay.
This is part of the same drainage.
Anyway, just a thought, if it's going to remain there, that would sure make a nice loop.
Sure.
of a-
And
but-
and this wash that we'd be running alongside definitely does run water during
Yeah, oh, yeah.
certain times.
Yeah, I see it. Thank you.
It's got a lot of green grass in it when it gets wet. You could pasture cattle or something inside it, but it would be one of the things that could be done by equestrians, that part of the area, and that's what they're looking for is they'd talked about riding that wash all the way out.
Sure.
At earlier times.
Matt, you had a question?
Yeah, one thing, Bob, you were asking about the, that wash, and I know that we had a development with a long-term care type situation, and they were gonna change that actually, but we would probably work with the developers when they start doing that, because that would be a nice loop there, but I'm sure we will at some point. But this goes back, we had a meeting, like maybe a year and a half ago, we've been working on trying to get this. We've had our master plan for probably 10 years, and it's finally coming, and I'm really excited about it. And the ultimate goal being, well, one of our goals was to get everything kind of go to the rec center and then out from there and then over to Dave White. And I'm just excited to see it finally happening. So,
Yeah.
and I like the idea of what you said is, hey, this part we own, so let's just get it going. So, got to start somewhere, and it's a great place.
Yeah,
Don?
and the rec center trail, if you see there's a spur trail, it's called, the north-south trail that runs up there and connects. That's definitely in the works with planning and zoning.
All right. Thank you.
Donna?
Stephen, I know that we said that we were not going to have any lighting and electrical. And my only concern is because of the safety in that, that area. Will this be, I know some of our parks are closed, they have hours that, you're supposed to not be there. Will this be included in the language on the signs and stuff?
Yes, so the typical hours would close at 11 PM and reopen at 5 AM. And we could easily on the, I think we have some solar lighting right now at Rotary Park. We could easily add a couple solar lights at the beginning of the trail, right there at Rotary Park and Treckle Road.
Okay.
It's just not included in the financial package that I'll present later to the council.
Thank you.
Lisa, do you have any questions?
Actually, I was going to comment on the safety and lighting also. So, yeah, I think it would be great if we could possibly add some of the solar lighting, and of course, having signage that shows, when it's open. And have you gotten with the police department? Are there any concerns about monitoring that area at all, or are we pretty good with what we're going to do right now?
We haven't gotten specifically with the police department on any issues. Rotary Park will become more highly used when we get it all finished. There's a lot of little smaller projects that are running concurrently with this, including an upgraded parking lot, tree trimming and shrub, taking out low-hanging shrubs, a new playground, a new ramada, another little shade structure. So I think you're going to see a lot more highly used visibility there, which will obviously improve usage from our patrons. So,
Great. Mr. Powell,
There's,
Great, thank you, Steve.
go ahead.
you're good, go.
There's a, a drainage that comes down parallel to I-17, or I-10, that's right next to it. When they have flooding, it loads up pretty good, and it ends up coming out there on Pier and on, actually toward the Rotary, and the Santa Cruz just goes all the way on out past Frito-Lay, and actually creates riparian areas out there that are constantly wet and but one of the things that for equestrians, they kind of like openness and getting out and doing it, and you wouldn't have to pamper them as much as long as you had a trail that was not concrete, that was softer material. That would be fun for them to be able to leave the rodeo grounds and make a trip out quite a ways and back.
sure.
Any other questions, comments? All right, thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on the agenda is our presentation from the Chamber of Commerce on the Community Marketing Organization. Larry, do you want to set this up, or is Renee going to take it?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you for the opportunity. As the mayor and council may recall, there was some discussion related to the formation of a community marketing organization approximately 2 years ago. We were in fact in line to work with the Chamber of Commerce to create the organization and to essentially fund it through a proposed bed tax option. When COVID pandemic commenced, we elected to put essentially pause that particular effort and essentially wait for a period of time where we saw some level of recovery. And obviously we're beginning to see that. We've seen that in our sales tax through the accommodation and the like. And so myself and Renee Luzon-Ben have been having discussions about an opportune time to bring it back to the council. So this is a bit of a restart. You're going to see some of the same slides that you may have seen 2 years ago. There's a lot of similarities to the proposal that was introduced then, but with that, I'll turn it over to Renee.
It's in our presentation.
Because I sent it.
Yeah, it was in the online file. It was part of our packet.
Oh, now I got a pointer. Okay, I'm sorry, I apologize. I thought that I didn't need to. I have a printout of it. It's actually in a thumb drive right on my desk where I left it.
It's on the study session. Presentation.
I could probably get my phone and send it to you again.
We could probably pull it up on our computers. Trying to get the Suns game. Come on. Gotta have priorities there.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, that's actually, can you increase the size?
Single page.
There you go. Thank you. And thank you for having me back again. Mr. Raines is correct. This actually, the last time I presented this was January of 20, and the mayor also discussed it at the Biz Outlook Luncheon in May of 19, and I think Rana Curfey had brought it to City Council. So you're seeing similar information based on what we had discussed then, but I gave it a new look just to keep it fresh for you. So I hope you appreciate a nice morning view of Casa Grande Mountain, or from Casa Grande Mountain. I'm glad to be back here to talk about this, and hopefully from here we'll see some forward momentum. Next slide, please. So marketing Casa Grande. City marketing refers to a marketing strategy where a specific city is promoted. Goals include attracting tourists to the area and/or designed to attract business investment and/or migration to the city. Generally, the intention is for marketing efforts to make our city stand out from other cities. Current state. The city markets to recruit new business to the area and markets its programs and resources to its residents. The Chamber, which is also designated by the Arizona Office of Tourism as an Arizona Visitor Information Center, we fill in as a destination marketing organization. So we have those three organizations there, but the Chamber promotes its member businesses, its events, and its programs, and in 2021 kicked off a Rediscover Casa Grande marketing program. While there is communication across those organizations, there's not a collaborative and coordinated effort currently. So there's an opportunity. Next slide, please. If you look at that dark triangle in the center, that's what's important. That represents the Community Marketing Office. Create under the operations of the Greater Casa Grande Chamber of Commerce an integration and collaboration of the city, the chamber, and marketing to meet the goals of all the organizations, developing a roadmap or a marketing plan, and have intentional marketing of Casa Grande. Operation, as I said, would fall under the chamber. Next slide. The creation of a CMO, which is a phrase I'll use now, is going to take stakeholders, an organization of an advisory board. A variety of individuals, organizations, and groups can be involved in the city marketing efforts. These organizations may have members or stakeholders, including local businesses and attractions, hotels, and can engage in city marketing on a more unilateral basis, promoting the city to attract customers. The group will champion the interests of the city. There'll be 7 to 9 members. And if you look at the list of stakeholders, the representation would include from the city an elected official, employee, Chamber of Commerce organization, the Downtown Main Street organization, industry partners including hotels and private businesses, restaurants,
has left the meeting.
bars, entertainment, and such.
Went to watch the Suns game.
Executing the plan would be delegated to the CMO. Next slide, please. Thank you. This is the budget that was originally presented in the very first slide presentation. Nothing has changed because we're still going off those estimates based from 2018 bed tax. Of the budget, estimating $360,000, $200,000 would be targeting all the marketing activities. Print, digital, and public relations outreach, including but not limited to branding. Some of that's already been set into motion, and that is, we'll step back to that in a few minutes. Print materials, tourism brochures throughout the Arizona office visitor centers and Arizona airport visitor kiosks, billboard messaging, social media marketing, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, public relations, CMO visitor website linked to the chamber and city website, And then some other funds, 20,000 estimated to put towards either city beautification or building a signature event. 80,000 for CMO staff salaries, benefits, and 60,000 administrative expenses, office and conferences. So the next slide, as we go through each one, these represent some actions, some activities that are already started and in place, and the potential of what can be. Through the CARES Act grant, the Chamber did redesign the website and designed it to be more of a community website. The first drop-down tab, other than Explore, is tourism. We worked with our local digital marketing firm, Blossom Digital, to make it local and exciting, so the sense of arrival to the website makes people want to explore more, and if they scroll down, they'll get to the stamps about the sub-brand, live it, love it, work it, build it, and park it. The website invites the visitor to and residents to rediscover Casa Grande. It has been targeted with the marketing campaign to reach outside of Casa Grande and outside of Arizona to engage people in the different sub-pages of the website. The future potential of the website as a CMO grows would be, what's next? Will more hotels come into town? We know of 2. And as more hotels come into town and other activities are taking place, maybe there'll be a piggyback of another software program or another design to allow for people to explore the dates they want to come visit, to find out if there's hotel availability on those dates without having to go through Expedia. There's some websites that have that. Connect meeting planners with potential, like their requests and information get funneled through DMO websites to the hoteliers themselves. So there's a lot of opportunity to expand and grow. And just the video that you see when you land on the Chamber's website right now is currently featured on Arizona Drive Guide magazine's website, and it's the first one you see. So, pretty neat. So anyone who visits Drive Guide gets to visit Casa Grande. Next slide. This is just one of the multiple ads that were created and targeting various populations with certain behaviors or needs, depending on if it was the Park It. This was targeting people who like to go RVing in the Southwest and such. There's another one, Build It, that targets manufacturers through LinkedIn in California, in mid to Southern California. So each of these campaigns was targeting people to get more interest in Casa Grande. So there's things that we can do like that, and we can even hyper target even more to populations based on behaviors for using software through the Oracle Cloud. You can find out who likes to golf and who likes to eat tacos and target those populations with digital messaging. The next slide, please. This is fun because we did this. Through some surplus funds, unexpended but planned for through the CARES Act dollars, we co-opt on several ads in Drive Guide. It's a half-page ad they gave us for a smoking deal, so we've been promoting our neon sign park. Drive Guide comes out quarterly, and when we think about what the wish list is for the budget, we could be planning these in advance and working out our campaigns instead of trying to figure out if we still have wiggle room. Next slide. I think this one the mayor will like. I actually last March had meetings with people from Clear Channel about billboards in and around Casa Grande and on I-10 Northwest and such, and held on to that for far too long, and now have more information coming to me because there is opportunity of getting people to think Casa Grande. Where is it? Why should I go there? And to explore Casa Grande. So for people, if they were driving by, it would remind them this is the time to get off, and this would be the best exit off of our trip on Interstate 10. Or if they were driving on I-10 West and they're like almost to the 101 in the West Valley, they see that one that says if you were living in Casa Grande, you'd already be home. Next slide, please. This is more opportunity. Arizona Office of Tourism produces and I have these that you can pass around for people to look at if you'd like.
Has joined the meeting.
The Arizona Tourism Visitor Guide, Arizona Office of Tourism, they produce 400,000 of these guides a year. And they distribute them to visitor centers like ours, and we have them on our racks, and there's over 65 visitor centers in the state. And they also distribute the maps. There's 400,000 maps that they produce a year. So that is an opportunity for us to not only have our own information out there, but to be included in marketing information from the Arizona Office of Tourism. And to the right, you see something we're actually going to be moving into is developing our first visitor guide, so that rather than send out an 8.5 or 8x10 directory, which costs $8 to mail, and it's somebody who's interested in coming for a long weekend, we can send them the piece that's most appropriate for their visit and give them the information they're looking for. So these are just some of the fun things that we can be doing. Yes, sir.
Renee, isn't that the piece also that goes in the visitor guide locations?
Yes.
The smaller one?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
So those people who are traveling around the state of Arizona might work their way from one visitor center to another and pick up that Casa Grande visitor guide in Show Low and make that a place they want to go while they're in Arizona as well. So next slide. How do we pay for this? As Larry said, with the bed tax. Paid by, the proposed funding would increase our current bed tax from 2% to 5%, dedicating that difference of 3% for the marketing office. The bed tax is paid by the visitors, the hotel guests. It's not a charge incurred by the hotels, it's by the guests. And an example of what that would look like, if it's $100 a night for a room, that's a $3 bed tax for that individual to pay. Currently,
I think
ours,
if it's $100, it'd be $5, right?
well, that increase is $3.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry. So currently, the 2% bed tax serves and will continue to support youth and youth services. And in most of Maricopa County, the bed tax is already 5%, and in Pima County, it's 6%. And so we have an opportunity here. Next slide. What is the benefit to the community? Casa Grande will be on the map. That's the goal, is that using various marketing media is to put Casa Grande on a map, to make it the type of place that when people are coming from the north, northeast, and they say, we're going to Arizona, instead of saying, are you going to Sedona and Scottsdale, they're going to say, are you going to be going to Casa Grande? Because that's what we want, is to be like that common phrase in other states that people come to visit. Also, the community of choice for people to come and live, places to stay and play. Next steps. Next slide. Study session with City Council. Here we are. The support letter from the hoteliers, we actually completed that in October of 19, and the mayor has those letters, the petition. Council action and public hearing, hopefully third quarter of 2021. Implementation in the fourth quarter of 21, and the CMO opens. So this timeline is based on the calendar year, not the city's fiscal year nor the chamber's calendar year. So when we talk about third and fourth quarter, we're talking about 2021. And next slide, any questions?
Anybody have any questions? Matt?
A couple questions, comments. I stayed at when I stay at hotels again. We've had this conversation before, but just a couple weeks ago, and I think that the rate where I stayed was almost 6% just for some type of tax like this. So I don't think that's much of a factor for people choosing, and I'm sure you guys have studied that as well.
Well, there was actually, that has been part of the discussion. And there was also, and I have it here, a proposal that there was an actual study done by a consultant and presented to City Council October of 2017 that addressed some of that as well. It's really, I don't know about when people are out spending either disposable income on vacation or other people's income traveling for business, they don't really look at that dollar amount. They probably look at what their per diem rates are allowable, and then after that, they don't think about it. And $3 a night is nominal.
And
$5.
Another thing, I don't know if we can do this, but I know we were talking about getting the Buxton program for the city, which is very targeted information. So that I don't know if we can help that with this project or not. It might, as you were talking about targeting people who like golf and tacos, like Steve. I saw him perk up over there. But the Buxton program that Richard talked to us about actually is very targeted like that. So I don't know if we can help with this or if it's legal to use it that. I mean, not legal, but if we're licensed to do it that way. But that would be very handy, I would think.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, and Councilman Herman, to your specific question, the Buxton report obviously is a very data-driven type of a model and analysis that the city has included in our fiscal year 22 budget. So the mayor and council will be taking action on that budget tonight. But ultimately, Buxton does represent both governments as well as the retail side of businesses in establishing data and data points. Renee and I did have just a very brief conversation a couple of weeks ago about the fact that if approved, we would want the chamber to be very active in that process, and I do see that there would be some collaborative efforts between the business communities in Casa Grande and with the Buxton report and the data that would be available to us through that analysis.
All right. And then lastly, I think, or for me, is that this would also help small businesses a lot downtown as well, because most people that use this type of travel want to see what's here in Casa Grande, right? And I know you're focusing on that with the neon sign park and everything and working with Main Street, but I just think that's great because right now we need everybody to be driven as much as they can to those places too. And then
Well, when you think
hopefully
about the visitor
people
guide, and it would be including businesses that fall into that category of where am I going to stay, where am I going to dine, where am I going to golf, where am I going to spend my time when I'm in this town for a week, 2 weeks, 5 days, something like that. And we really want to make sure that they have the information come in and enjoy themselves. And quite frankly, on a regular basis, we have people coming in saying, I'm just driving through, or I'm staying in Gila Bend in an RV, and it's June. What can I do for a day here? And it was a Monday. I'm like, oh. Not as many things to do on Monday as there are the rest of the week.
And then the marketing piece too, because specifically in my business, we get a lot of people, that we go through a lot of chamber maps and books at our place. And just one more good tool, like, people want to know where to eat, where to look, they just say, and to have a nice little piece just to hand out. And
Right.
They love the books too, but, just easy to use and everything. So I think it's a real great idea.
Well, thank you. Just so you know, that opening slide was sunrise at Casa Grande Mountain. Oh, yeah. November, several years ago. It's a nice view.
Mayor.
Any other questions?
Renee, I'm so excited to see this move forward because I know that we've been stagnant for a while. My only question is that, because of everything that's happened over the past year and a half, and I know that I was at the meeting where a lot of the hotels were there and they were so excited about it. Have we circled back around to them to re-engage them at all?
I wanted to do so around the timeline of this meeting. I think that would, I don't want to lose any momentum, but I also didn't want to be premature.
Okay.
I'd make sure I'm on. The council action that will be required later on in the year, and this is probably more for Larry, but will that actually raise the tax rate? And my other question is, how does all this fit within the structure of the city? My assumption is the CMO will answer to the board. Is that correct? And so my related question is, does that board adopt a set of rules, or how does that work? And by the way, I'm all in favor of it. I mean, I've been excited about it. I'm sorry it had to be put on hold because of the pandemic. But and probably, Larry, I should ask, does all that come up for discussion later on in the year? Maybe I don't need to ask that tonight.
And Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Huddleston, let me answer the question related to the decisions that the mayor and council will be, the policy decisions the mayor and council will be considering. You're absolutely right. It is the actual tax increase to this particular category, the accommodations category within our tax structure. That would come to the mayor and council by way of an ordinance and a recommendation by staff as normal ordinances would transpire. Then ultimately, there's a statutory requirement of a notice that is necessary to allow the businesses to begin to make the adjustment before the tax can be collected. And so, again, as Ms. Ben has said, Luzon Ben has said this evening, we were wanting to reintroduce this to the council, make sure it was something that you wanted us to pursue, and ultimately we'll begin to work on the proposed increase in the accommodations tax.
Okay.
And I'll let Renee answer perhaps a little bit more of the structure. There is some involvement, but at least from my perspective, when we've had this dialogue in the past, both internally as well as with the elected officials, it was always my understanding that it would be, that the city would enter into an engagement, a professional services engagement contract with the Chamber of Commerce to manage these particular monies. Similar to what we do with our partnership agreements today, the mayor and council are considering them this evening, I believe. So they would be responsible for meeting a variety of expectations through that agreement, and in exchange for that, we would be providing the funding through that bed tax collection.
Okay, and where would it be housed?
As far as the physical
At the chamber?
structure?
575 North Marshall Street.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Renee,
I
you
didn't
wanna
know if
talk a
it'd be
little-
here, or at City Hall, or at the chamber.
That would be probably an appropriate location for it.
Yeah.
There is, looking at staffing, not necessarily a need to hire an executive director of a community marketing office when you have a chamber director, but instead to bring in really qualified staff, a marketing and event specialist, because those are the two key activities that are going to take place. Seeking, evaluating the appropriate mixed media campaign and putting together a strategy with all those examples I included in the slideshow, as well as evaluating the effectiveness of it. So starting with one staff, and I know at one time there was maybe one at full-time, one part-time proposed, but that staffing would be looking for someone with that caliber to come in and just hit the ground running.
Yeah, you'd probably have like a manager of the
Yeah.
CMO.
Yeah.
And the manager would answer to Renee, for
Okay.
example. And then there's a board. The board could be 7 or 9.
Right.
And we're still kind of deciding what that number is. And it would have two city personnel on it, one elected and one like the PIO, for example, because she would
And the
she would
chamber-
deal with the communication.
The chamber is currently, we have our bylaws committee reviewing our bylaws because it's been too long. So we're in that process right now, but in the big picture, I have an example in that report that was presented in 2017 of the bylaws from the Sedona Chamber, and they are still in agreement and operating with a partnership with the city of Sedona, and in fact, to the tune of this past year, it's been about asking them to scale back on the marketing because so many people were misusing public lands, but that won't happen here. I think that our current process in the bylaws and also internally, we're reviewing our policies and ensuring that they're current and expanding on them in places where we don't have policies on certain things to be a more efficient organization when this takes off.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I would like to go back, I think, to, I visited with Richard and some others and Polly about how do we get people to go downtown? How do we get them there? And I think her age group, there's really, very bland downtown. And I know we just had a building open up for the secondhand store. It used to be the old Penny's building. Mm-hmm. We had next to that empty place there was the restaurant that burned down. And it had people parking and walking 3 and 4 blocks to get down there and not complaining or thinking anything about it. They had music sometimes. They had a bar. They had a restaurant. And we need to have something like that downtown for people to go to. And until we do, I don't see us making a lot of progress with the Main Street area. And it's there, and we can do it if we would do some invest some money or some time in trying to figure out to get somebody in that building, that tenant that would do something that would be recreational or food or whatever. I know you can almost never have enough restaurants. And that would be an ideal location for one, and they could have a bar or whatever at that location. But I was hoping that Work America across the street building would have come open to the city, and that we would have taken it. And
It's coming back open.
is it coming back open? Bless you. That would be an ideal place to have a steakhouse and have some other things that have been asked for, to have a bar. What do they call the one?
Food court.
No, not the bars.
Bar.
No.
Brew pub.
Where they brew their own beer?
Brew pub. Microbrew.
Microbrewery, yes, okay. You can see I'm right up to speed on that.
I agree with you.
You know, a microbrewery, a restaurant, and it's big enough where you could have some other things in that building if that is coming up again. And I think that part of what we have to do as a city council is be aware of what we could do with some of the buildings that are becoming vacant downtown to draw more people in, to give people a reason to go downtown and to enjoy themselves and to walk around. Marge has walked people around there for years, and they like the historical part of it. And I just hope that we can look into those kind of things because, as I say, if it stays bland, it is bland, and it doesn't really, it doesn't do what we want to see done. And our downtown, I was in Prescott over the weekend, and Prescott is hard to compete with. It's got all kind of stuff there. But they've done a lot of work, the city has. And when I went to school up there, it wasn't like it is now. There's a lot more restaurants and microbreweries and stuff for young people and that type of thing. And I was wondering why in the world we couldn't do that, or at least think about doing it, or trying to do it in Casa Grande, Arizona.
I agree. I sat in on several of the general plan meetings, and there was a presentation by the city of Chandler about the development of the downtown Chandler area. And I think the biggest message I heard about their development, a lot of it was by intention. It was by design. So it was kind of identifying and putting together a wish list of things they wanted to see be in that area, and then work to make that happen. So that way, you have your steakhouse, you have the DC Steakhouse, and around the corner you've got Handlebar Jake's, and you've got the other place. There's the Italian restaurant around the other end of the square. But there's little shops in between, and people meander from one to the other. And they've also, in the expansion of that area, it has also been about bringing in multifamily living, walking distance from the downtown, and having wider walking paths. So there's a lot of intention involved, but I think it starts with a lot of big discussions.
One of the things that I found out, I knew you were looking at Chandler, and I was in the meeting when they gave us the criteria on it. But most of the people that are up there live in the condos or in the apartments or that type of thing. And I drove around on a Saturday, good weather, good day, one guy on a bicycle, one guy walking, and one guy going in a bar. And that was all that was happening down there. I don't know that they do as well as that people think they do. The apartments and the condos are nice because the people like to live there, but that goes clear on out south.
Well, I think
with
also
that.
in that discussion, one of the people in the meeting said, but yeah, we don't want to be like Chandler because we're Casa Grande. I mean, I agree with you, but it was what the important message was, is that a group of people sat around and said, what do we want here? What is our vision for downtown? And I know there's a Main Street board and there's a chamber board, but more collaboration between the different groups and cross-communication, and then put the wish list together and start working on recruiting
All right.
X, Y, and Z to our community.
Any other questions on the CMO?
Just one
On the
more
CMO?
comment.
On the CMO.
I know, one more fast comment.
Okay.
I have a question, Mayor.
All right, Lisa, Mr. Powell has one more comment. He promises it'll be short.
Okay.
No, go ahead first, Lisa. I'm a gentleman.
Okay, thank you. Actually, thank you, Renee. And of course, I'm looking forward to us moving forward on this. And I think, you talked a little bit about the bylaws and the processes, and my connection was disconnected, so I may have missed this. But my question is, I know the CMO will mostly be doing promoting of the city events, activities, things like that. But we talked about, the businesses' opportunities, to expand their marketing, to visitors. And I wanted to see how you're going to separate, chamber. I just want to make sure that we have non-chamber members that are getting just as much consideration. I don't know what the percentage is of businesses and services and everyone that you have with the chamber. Obviously, our company is part of your chamber. But I just want to make sure, since this is a city, more of a collaboration with the city, that we are making sure that there's a little separation on, we're making sure that we're including, all business, services, everything when we're doing any type of marketing of any of those types of, businesses. That makes sense?
That makes a lot of sense, Lisa. Get an A+ on that.
I think in the
just
big.
wanted to mention.
Let her answer her question.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I apologize if I talked over you. I just wanted to clarify that when we're marketing the city, I think I've heard the phrase, incoming tides raises all ships. We're marketing the city and not necessarily specific businesses from the CMO standpoint. It will be about the community. If businesses choose to participate, let's say next year we produce 25,000 or 50,000 visitor guides, they can still participate in the visitor guide. We would have to come up with some type of structure for that we don't have in place now. So there's going to be some things that we learn as we go, but it certainly is not our intention to not represent the whole city with the CMO. That's the goal, is to represent the whole city.
Yeah, whether you're a member of the chamber or not.
For example, during the pandemic, we opened, and we're still maintaining that website through next April, at least, is the Casa Grande's Open for Business website, and it didn't matter if somebody was a member or not. Right. So now, hopefully, some people might want to become a member. Just saying.
Did that answer your question, Lisa?
Yes, no, and I wasn't implying that you guys wouldn't include all businesses. I just want to make sure when if the question comes, make sure that understand that we are promoting city services, that sort of. But just make as you're putting together policies and everything. I'm sure you're already taking that into consideration, but I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah,
of course.
No, you're right
Thank
on.
you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Powell. What would you like to say?
One final, the Circle Ks that are being built now, like the one on Florence Boulevard, if you could talk them into one downtown, there's no place to get gas for 4 or 5 miles for the downtown area. The gas stations used to be there. They're not there anymore. And that would be a big deal. They attract a lot of people, and they also sell food and all the different things that they do. And I talked to Richard about, I know he can recruit anybody, about trying to recruit Circle K and maybe a Walgreens and something else. If you had 3 good businesses that people came to once a week or more, it would really liven up the downtown. It would make a big difference.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions for Renee? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Renee. Thank you to the Chamber Board, too, for being here tonight, and also Blossom Media. Thank you, Brian. No other questions, and we'll stand adjourned for about 5 minutes, and we'll start at 6:30. Thank you, Renee.
Oh, yeah. I saw a
Hope
bunch
you
of
have extras of those, because that'd be easy to lose, wouldn't it?
No, that's the only problem.
Like my TV.
All right, good evening. I'll call the meeting to order. This is we're going to take our CFDs, our community facilities districts, and we'll take them in alphabetic order. So the first call to order is for the Copper Mountain Ranch Community Facilities District Board on this Tuesday, July 6th of 2021, 6:30 p.m. Let the roll call show that 5 of us are present and 2 are on the phone. So Lisa Fitzgibbons is on the phone, and Mr. Jeff Lavender, is also on the phone.
So noted.
You both are still there, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Item C is the minutes. Does anyone want
Move
to offer for approval?
the minutes as presented.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of June 7th of 2021. Is that possible? June 7th? I guess it was. That was when we had the last
Yes.
CFD meeting?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. June 7th of 2021. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, 2 ayes on the phone. All right, new business, D1. This is a public hearing regarding the proposed full year 22 budget and property tax.
Staff is recommending, in accordance with Arizona revised statutes, that the board conduct a public hearing on the fiscal 22 budget and proposed tax levy for the Copper Mountain Ranch Community Facilities District. Staff also recommends that after the public hearing, the Board of Directors of the district adopt a resolution establishing the fiscal 22 final expenditure budget of the district in the amount of $20,005,000. This is the same amount that was approved in the tentative budget on June 7th. Expenditures of the district for fiscal 22 are intended to be paid by property tax and possible issuance of debt, which would be approved by a separate action of the board. Staff is also recommending that the board approve a resolution adopting the tax levy with a property tax rate of 30 cents per $100 of net assessed value for a total levy limit of $2,479 for the district.
Okay, since it's a public hearing, I'm going to open the floor to anyone who would like to approach the Copper Mountain Ranch Facilities District Board. Okay, seeing none, then I will close the public hearing. And does council have any questions? Or not council, I'm sorry. Does the board have any questions? Any questions on the phone?
No.
Lisa?
Oh, Mayor.
Okay. All right, seeing none, then can I call for resolution number 91, please?
Resolution number 91, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Copper Mountain Ranch Community Facilities District, Casa Grande, Arizona, adopting the budget for fiscal year 2021 through 2022.
Chairman McFarland, I move for approval of resolution number 91 as presented.
Second?
All right, I have a motion and a second. Can we do this by roll call, or do we do this by roll call? Okay, so Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote, please?
Member Lavender.
Yes.
Member McBride.
Yes.
Member Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Member Herman.
Yes.
Member Powell.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Huddleston.
Yes.
Chairman McFarland.
Yes. All right, next is the resolution number 92. Can I get a resolution number 92, please, Gloria?
Resolution number 92, a resolution of the Board of Copper Mountain Ranch Community Facilities District, Casa Grande, Arizona, levying upon the assessed valuation of the property within Copper Mountain Ranch Community Facilities District, subject to taxation, a certain sum upon each $100 of valuation sufficient to raise the amount estimated to be required in the annual budget, less the amount estimated to be received from other sources of revenue providing funds for various bond redemptions for the purpose of paying interest upon bonded indebtedness, and providing a general fund for general district expenses, all for fiscal year ending the 30th day of June 2022.
Chairman McFarland, I move for approval of resolution number 92 as presented.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Member Lavender.
Yes.
Member McBride. Yes. Member Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Member Herman.
Yes.
Member Powell.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Huddleston.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. Is that Chairman McFarland?
Oh, excuse me, Chairman McFarland.
Okay. All right, any other business? Okay. Then I'll adjourn the facilities, Community Facilities District for Copper Mountain Ranch. And we will call to order the Mission Royale Community Facilities District Board on this Tuesday, July 6th. Let the roll call show that the 5 who are present and the 2 that are on the phone, Ms. Fitzgibbons and Mr. Lavender. Everyone is present.
So noted.
All right, minutes, item number C. Does anybody want to make a motion?
Approval of the minutes is presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the Mission Royale CFD minutes from June 7th. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All right, the minutes are approved. We'll move to new business, item D. And here regarding the resolution number 67 and resolution number 68.
Chairman and members of the board, staff is recommending, in accordance with Arizona revised statutes, that the board conduct a public hearing on the fiscal 2022 budget and proposed tax levy for the Mission Royale Community Facilities District. Staff also recommends that after the public hearing, the Board of Directors of the district adopt a resolution establishing the fiscal 22 final expenditure budget of $5,205,000 for the district. This is the same amount that was approved in the tentative budget that was approved in the tentative budget on June 7th. Expenditures of the district for fiscal 22 are intended to be paid by property tax and possible issuance of debt, which would be approved by a separate action by the board. Staff is also recommending that the board approve a resolution adopting the tax levy with a property tax rate of 30 cents per $100 of net assessed value for a total levy amount of $86,684 for the district.
Okay, thank you. This is a public hearing, so I'm going to open the floor to the public. Is there anyone in the public who would like to address the Mission Royale Community Facilities District Board? If so, please approach the podium. Okay, seeing no one rush the podium, then I will close the public hearing and ask the board if you have any questions. Any questions, Lisa or Mr. Lavender? Jeff?
No. No, sir.
Okay.
Call for the question.
Okay. If no other comments or questions, then can I get a resolution number, please, Gloria?
Resolution number 67, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Mission Royale Community Facilities District, Casa Grande, Arizona, adopting the budget for fiscal year 2021 through 2022.
Chairman McFarland, move approval of resolution number 67.
I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote on resolution number 67?
Member Lavender.
Yes.
Member McBride. Yes. Member Fitzgibbons. Member Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Member Herman.
Yes.
Member Powell.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Huddleston.
Yes.
Chairman McFarland.
Yes. Lisa, quit watching that Suns game, would you?
not here.
All right. No other business to consider, then I will adjourn the.
No, we have another. no,
Oh, wait a
we have
minute.
one
Sorry, I
more.
got one more resolution. Cancel that adjournment. Can I get a resolution for resolution number 68, please?
Resolution number 68, a resolution of the Board of Mission Royale Community Facility District, Casa Grande, Arizona, levying upon the assessed valuation of property within Mission Royale Community Facilities District, subject to taxation, a certain sum upon each $100 of valuation sufficient to raise the amount estimated to be required in the annual budget, less the amount estimated to be received from other sources of revenue, providing funds for the various bond redemptions and for the purpose of paying interest upon bonded indebtedness, and providing a general fund for general district expenses, all for the fiscal year ending the 30th day of June 2022.
Chairman McFarland, I move for the approval of resolution number 68 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Member Lavender,
Yes.
Member McBride. Yes. Member Fitzgibbons,
Yes?
Member Herman,
Yes.
Member Powell,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Huddleston,
Yes.
Chairman McFarland.
Yes. And I deserve that because I gave Lisa a bad time. All right, then now I will adjourn the Mission Royale Community Facilities District Board. And we will call to order the Post Ranch Community Facilities District Board. Let the roll call show that all members are present, with 2 members on the phone.
So
Member
noted.
Fitzgibbons and Member Lavender. And I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of June 7th.
Go ahead.
I need a second then.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, thank you. Under the new business, we have D1, which is a hearing regarding the proposed full-year budget and property tax, and considering resolution number 48 and resolution number 49.
Chairman and members of the board, staff is recommending, in accordance with Arizona revised statutes, that the board conduct a public hearing on the fiscal 2022 budget and proposed tax levy for the Post Ranch Community Facilities District. Staff also recommends that after the public hearing, that the Board of Directors of the district adopt a resolution establishing the fiscal 22 final expenditure budget of $600 for the district. This is the same amount that was approved in the tentative budget on June 7th. Expenditures of the district are intended to be paid by property tax and possible developer contribution. Staff is also recommending that the board approve a resolution adopting the tax levy with a property tax rate of 30 cents per $100 of net assessed value for a total levy amount of $99 for the district.
All right, thank you. This is a public hearing, so we'll open the floor for any conversation on resolution number 49 and 48. Any public like to speak to the board? All right, seeing none, then I will close the floor and we'll move for approval unless there are any questions by the board. All right, seeing none, then Gloria, can I get a resolution number, please, for number 48?
Resolution number 48, a resolution of the Board of Directors of Post Ranch Community Facilities District, Casa Grande, Arizona, adopting the budget for fiscal year 2021 through 2022.
Mayor McFarland, I move approval of resolution number 48 as presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Member Lavender,
Yes.
Member McBride. Yes. Member Fitzgibbons,
Yes.
Member Herman,
Yes.
Member Powell,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Huddleston,
Yes.
Chairman McFarland.
Yes. All right. There's one more resolution here, resolution number 49. Can I get a resolution, please, Gloria?
Resolution number 49, a resolution of the Board of Post Ranch Community Facilities District, Casa Grande, Arizona, levying upon the assessed valuation of the property within Post Ranch Community Facilities District, subject to the taxation, a certain sum upon each $100 of valuation sufficient to raise the amount estimated to be required in the annual budget, less the amount estimated to be received from the other sources of revenue, providing funds for the various bond redemptions for the purpose of paying interest upon bonded indebtedness, and providing a general fund for general district expenses, all for the fiscal year ending the 30th day of June 2022.
Chairman McFarland, I would move for the approval of resolution number 49 as presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Member Lavender,
Yes.
Member McBride,
Yes.
Member Fitzgibbons,
Yes.
Member Herman,
Yes.
Member Powell,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Huddleston,
Yes.
Chairman McFarland.
Yes. All right. Seeing no other business, then I will adjourn the Post Ranch Community Facilities District Board. And call to order the Vilago Community Facilities District Board. Let the roll call show 5 members are present, and we have 2, Mr. Lavender and Ms. Fitzgibbons on the phone.
So noted.
Entertain a motion to approve the minutes of June 7th.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right, thank you. Under new business, item D1, this is a public hearing. We're going to consider resolution number 64 and resolution number 65.
In accordance with Arizona revised statutes, that the board conduct a public hearing on the fiscal '22 budget and proposed tax levy for the Vilago Community Facilities District. Staff also recommends that after the public hearing, the Board of Directors of the district adopt a resolution establishing the fiscal '22 final expenditure budget of $304,475 for the district. This is the same amount that was approved in the tentative budget on June 7th. Staff is also recommending that the board approve a resolution adopting the tax levy with a property tax rate of $1.4023 per $100 of net assessed value for the total levy amount of $245,824 for the district.
All right, thank you. This is a public hearing, so I'll open the floor to the public. Anyone interested in approaching the district board, the Vilago Community Facilities District Board, please step forward. Okay. Seeing no one, then I will close the floor and call, if does the members have any questions? Okay, seeing none, then I will call for resolution number 64, please, Gloria.
Resolution number 64, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Vilago Community Facilities District, Casa Grande, Arizona, adopting the budget for fiscal year ending 2021 through 2022.
Move approval as presented.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Powell and a second from Bob. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Member Lavender,
Yes.
Member McBride,
Yes.
Member Fitzgibbons,
Yes.
Member Herman,
Yes.
Member Powell,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Huddleston,
Yes.
Chairman McFarland.
Yes. All right, next is, can I get a resolution number 65, please?
Resolution number 65, a resolution of the Board of Vilago Community Facilities District, Casa Grande, Arizona, levying upon the assessed valuation of the property within Vilago Community Facilities District, Casa Grande, subject to the taxation, a certain sum upon each $100 of valuation, sufficient to raise the amount estimated to be required in the annual budget, less the amount estimated to be received from the other sources of revenue, providing funds for the various bond redemptions for the purpose of paying interest upon bonded indebtedness, approving a general fund for all general district expenses, all for the fiscal year ending the 30th day of June 2022.
Chairman McFarland, I would move for approval of resolution number 65 as presented.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Member Lavender,
Yes.
Member McBride,
Yes.
Member Fitzgibbons, Member Herman,
Yes.
Member Powell,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Huddleston,
Yes.
Chairman McFarland.
Yes. All right, seeing no other business, then we will adjourn the Vilago Community Facilities District Board, and that will be it for the board meetings tonight. So we'll stand adjourned until 7 o'clock, when we'll start the regular council meeting. Thank you, everybody. All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City of Casa Grande City Council meeting on July 6th. And do we have our two council members, Mr. Lavender, Ms. Fitzgibbons, on the line?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Mayor.
All right, great. Thank you. So I'll call the meeting to order. The first order of business is our invocation and pledge of allegiance. I believe we have, and I think I see him in the audience, Pastor Richard Cunningham from the Lighthouse Ministries. Pastor, welcome. If you wouldn't mind leading us in our invocation, and then please remain standing and we'll do the pledge of allegiance.
Awesome, thank you. Father, we come to you with praise and worship. We give all the honor and glory to you every time we approach you, Father. Thank you for sending your Son to die for us and raise again with the promise of eternity with you. Father, I pray that, first of all wisdom and knowledge and guidance comes from you. I pray that you would be with the council tonight, be with the mayor and all the council members. Father, just guide them and direct them. Give them the heart and desire of passion that you put on their heart, Father, for leading our city. Thank you for all you've done. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Mr. Huddleston.
Sir.
All right, next order of business is our roll call. Gloria, let the roll call show that there are 5 council members present in the chambers and 2 on the phone, Ms. Fitzgibbons and Mr. Lavender.
So noted.
Mayor McFarland, as far as minutes go, we only have one item, and I move approval of to consider approving the city council regular meeting minutes of June 19th, 2021 as they're presented.
Like June 21, right? June
Yeah.
21 of 21, okay. All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Okay, claims against the city, item D1.
Move to accept and pay the claims.
Mayor McFarland, I move to approve the claims.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. This is to approve the claims of June 16 through June 29 of 2021. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, thank you. Meeting agenda approval. Staff have any changes, Larry? We changing anything? We got none, Mr. Mayor. Okay, just anybody on council? Anybody on the phone on the council? Since I can't see your faces? I guess not. Okay. Seeing no changes, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Can I get a second? You guys all asleep?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. We have no special presentations, so next item on the agenda is our consent agenda items. All items listed with an asterisk are considered routine matters and will be enacted by one motion and one roll call vote of the council. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or member of the public so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence of the agenda. Is there anyone who has anything you want to pull off of the consent agenda? Anyone on the phone?
No, sir.
Anyone in the public? All right, seeing none, then I will call for a roll call vote of the consent agenda items. Oh, I need a motion, I guess, don't I?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Can I get a roll call vote now, please?
Councilmember Lavender.
Yes.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman,
Yes.
Councilmember Powell,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Huddleston,
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, we'll move to item I1, consider approval of resolution number,
Eight.
You do have item H, public comments on the agenda.
oh, thanks. Only done it twice in the last year, so apologize. Yes, we do have a public comments. So this is a time, this is item H on the agenda. This is the time when anyone in the public, if they would like to approach the council. Just as a reminder, if you do and you would like to say something, it's not agendized, so we cannot respond, but we can direct staff to follow up. So is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to the council? This is your opportunity. Okay, seeing none, then I'll close the public comments, and we'll move to item I1, and consider approval of resolution number 5315. Terry, is that you?
That's me.
All right.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Staff is recommending that the Mayor and City Council approve an agreement with the Union Pacific Railroad Company to authorize a public highway at-grade crossing agreement between the City of Casa Grande and the Union Pacific Railroad Company. As you're all aware, we are developing a traffic signal at Sunland Gin and Jimmy Kerr that involves the railroad, including an extensive amount of work on the railroad for preemption. So this agreement is necessary for that cooperation, and it identifies items that the railroad is going to procure and install. It also identifies repayment to the railroad of $482,000. I'm sorry, $482,630 upon completion of their work. The total work of the project is estimated to be $990,000. The city's portion of that will be $507,000. With that, entertain any questions.
Any questions from,
I just have a comment.
go ahead, Mr. Powell.
I think that's really a key place to put that, put that stoplight. It's Sunland Gin Road, is that where it's going?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that's always been a dangerous place, so that's good that they're gonna do that.
Sunland Jim and Jimmy Kerr, right?
Jimmy Curry,
Yeah, Sunland Gin Road and Jimmy Kerr Boulevard.
yeah.
It's been a long time coming. This project has been in the works for quite a few years.
Yeah.
The majority of that time is honestly coordinating and working with the railroad so that
Yeah.
it interacts with the signal. We can't just throw up a signal. So,
What's the timeline?
Go ahead, Matt.
good question, Mr. Mayor, Member Herman. We are in the process of finalizing a solicitation for a construction manager at risk. We anticipate that going out probably early August. Once that solicitation results in a selection, and then we develop a guaranteed maximum price for the work, that will then come back to council and then hopefully move forward with construction. There's a lot of lead time in the equipment, particularly on the railroad side. So we would imagine that probably, hate to say it, but we might be looking at June of next year to commence construction because of the lead time on the equipment.
Any other questions, comments? Any comments or questions on the phone?
No.
No, sir.
Okay. All right, seeing no more comments or questions, then I'll call for a resolution, please, Gloria.
Resolution number 5315, a resolution of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, approving the terms and conditions of an agreement with Union Pacific Railroad Company for the Public Highway at-grade crossing project, authorizing expenditure of public funds, and authorizing the execution of an agreement.
Mayor McFarland, I move approval of resolution number 5315 is presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember Lavender.
Yes.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Councilmember Powell.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Huddleston.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, we'll move to item I2. Consider approval of resolution number 5316, proposal from Capital R Construction.
This recommendation is for the mayor and council to authorize the city manager to execute a contract with Capital R Construction, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $49,999 for the design and construction of airport cafe improvements at the City of Casa Grande Municipal Airport. As I'm sure mayor and council is aware, there is a small cafe space. Previous tenants have, it's very limited amenities. This project seeks to install a fryer hood, if you will, a grease hood, that's required for food and safety requirements as well as fire requirements, to be able to expand that to include a cooktop and a fryer. This project is just installing the hood, the electrical, various ventilation. The cooktop and the fryer have already been purchased and will be installed separately. So this amenity, if we will improve the list or range of items that can be improved by a future tenant, as that space is currently vacant. The design is minimal, so it's included in the proposal for services and in the contract. In order to procure the services, we did an RFQ. We were in receipt of 3 contractors' qualifications for review. The contractor that was highest rank withdrew his participation. So we went to the next one on the list, which is Capital R Construction, and negotiated an appropriate scope and fee with them to be able to install the hood and the appurtenant work. So with that, I'll take any questions you might have.
Mr. Powell?
I know one of the things there's been complaints about from pilots and whatever is there's not an outdoors facility for bathrooms for people that fly in and get off there. Is there any chance that that could be incorporated in what's being done here to?
If I'm not mistaken, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Powell, there is a restroom available.
Inside, but not outside?
I think there is one outside.
Is there outside? Okay.
And I may be incorrect in that statement, but those are amenities and facilities that we can, of course, look at improving at some point in the road. I think we want to focus on the cafe space, and the previous vendor that had been in there. It definitely is a valuable asset for users of the airport, to attract users to the airport. This is just going to enhance it by be able to enhance the menu and the offerings that they're able to provide. So I hope
Donna?
that answers your question, sir.
Donna, did you have a question?
No, Terry, I just have more of a comment than anything, and I think that it's needed. It's been needed out there for a long time. My only question is, because of we don't have a tenant, is that going to raise the price of rent out there for them to incur, or how are we looking at that? Because, we want to make sure if we're going to spend this kind of money, that we have somebody out there.
Well, Mr. Mayor, Member McBride, I believe that ultimately we will look at the valuation of that space once these amenities are in place. It should increase the
Rentability.
value, if you will, of it, but also just the saleability of the product and the attraction that it can bring to the airport. I think that is also going to be taken into consideration with any negotiation of a lease for that space. I can't say that we've said, yes, we will raise rates, or no, we will not. I think it ultimately will be evaluated, and hopefully this is an amenity that will be able to provide a variety that will become an attraction, as was discussed earlier. Maybe it'll end up in one of those flyers.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Any other questions? Lisa or Jeff, anything?
No, Mayor.
No, Mayor.
Okay. Seeing no other questions, then I will call for a resolution number, please, Gloria.
Resolution number 5316, a resolution of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, accepting a proposal from Capital R Construction, Inc. for the design and construction of airport cafe space improvements at the city of Casa Grande Municipal Airport, authorizing the expenditure of public funds and authorizing the execution of a contract.
Mayor McFarland, I move approval of resolution number 5316 as presented.
Second?
All right, I have a motion and a second. Can I please get a roll call vote? Gloria?
Councilmember Lavender.
Yes.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Councilmember Powell.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Huddleston.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you. Thank you, Terry.
Good job.
All right, we'll move to item I3, consider approval of ordinance number 3283, which I think is what we just discussed in our study session.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. Staff recommends the mayor and city council authorize a job order contract with Okanogan Trail Construction in an amount not to exceed $350,584 for construction of Phase 1 of the Casa Grande Community Trail. In addition, staff recommends authorizing an additional $48,000 to provide contingency in this project for bonding costs and potential unforeseen issues during the construction phase. The total requested authority for this project is $398,000, or $398,584. As you know, Okanogan was chosen in a qualifications-based process. They are an award-winning company that specializes in trail planning, design, and construction, and they have 38 years of experience throughout the world. So we're really excited to have them as a potential partner. I don't really have any other details from the project other than what was presented at the study session. So with that, I'd stand for questions.
And Steve, this is just the piece from Rotary Park to Peart.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And it's a separate project, the part that's cleaning up Rotary Park?
Yes.
Okay. Does
I
anybody?
think that might be the Okanogan, the trail construction, I mean, the pronunciation of it. There's an Indian tribe up around in the state of
I could possibly
Washington
be
that-
stand corrected, yes.
that have the Okanogan Indians up there.
Is that a question?
I just, as I say, I know that's how they spell it and what they are. I just was,
The owner of the company is from that area.
yeah,
So
Well, there you go.
yeah. So I'm sure they're
that's why
probably
the name of the company
Okanogan.
is that.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions? Anybody on the phone have any questions?
No, Mayor.
No.
All right, seeing no more questions, then I'll call for an ordinance number, please, Gloria.
Ordinance number 3283, an ordinance of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, accepting a proposal from Okanogan Trail Construction, Inc. for the construction of part of the Casa Grande Community Trail Project, authorizing the expenditure of public funds and authorizing the execution of a contract.
Mayor McFarland, I move for approval of ordinance number 3283 as presented.
Second?
All right, I have a motion. Oh, I have a motion and 2 seconds. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Lavender,
Yes.
Councilmember McBride,
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember Herman,
Yes.
Councilmember Powell.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Huddleston,
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, next item on the agenda is I-4. This is considering approval of an ordinance number 3284. And this is a lease between the City of Casa Grande and the Boys and Girls Club of the Sun Corridor.
The staff recommendation is that the mayor and city council approve an ordinance to enter into a lease agreement for the Lencola Center and approve the public service agreement with the Boys and Girls Club of the Sun Corridor for youth services in the areas of after-school programs and summer programs at the Lencola Center. If you recall, at the budget retreat, staff introduced the idea of a new partnership with the Boys and Girls Club of the Sun Corridor. In this potential partnership, the Boys and Girls Club would provide services at the Lencola Center. In a concurrent move, the youth soccer program that they previously ran would transfer to the City Recreation Division. Some of the details of the proposal include an initial term of 3 years, which would align it with the Recreation Center lease that we currently have, a base rent of $1 per year. 3 5-year extensions are available, very similar to the Recreation Center lease. The hours of operation for the Lencola Center would become 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. in the summer, the same hours that the Boys and Girls Club uses at their existing clubs, and that provides an additional, at least 400 additional programming hours. The after-school program would be the same hours that they run at their other clubs. The city would fund the program $60,000 per year for 5 years. In addition, the city would fund another $31,200 per year for 3 years to provide no-cost programming to the members of the community who previously attended the Lencola Center. After 3 years, that membership would revert into the base model that the Boys and Girls Club currently uses, which does provide options for full or partial scholarships. The city would maintain the asset of Lencola by providing custodial, maintenance, and landscaping for the facility. At full capacity, 150 children would be served daily by this proposal. The city would still have access to the Lencola space on a space available basis when the Boys and Girls Club is not in operation. There's also several key points regarding the soccer program. Registration for the soccer program is scheduled to take place at the Recreation Center and through our normal online procedures. Soccer would still be held in the fall with several weeks of practice and an 8-week season. Staff is planning to implement a sponsorship program that would be announced in the coming days that would provide scholarships to area youth if they need it. The Boys and Girls Club will provide soccer consulting throughout this first year to get us on our feet. We would be using a similar model to our youth basketball program that we have, which is very successful, so we're excited to take on soccer. The fiscal impact, I'll just read from the RCA. The city anticipates an overall savings in the operational costs that are currently expended, providing similar programming at the center. The proposal requires the city to fund the program as follows: $60,000 per year for 5 years for operational costs, $31,000 a year for 3 years to cover programming fees for previous community members, and then operational costs for cleaning of the facility and maintenance of the groups. This is approximately 50% savings for the city financially. At this time, I'd like to introduce Matt Lemberg, the Executive Director of the Boys and Girls Club of the Sun Corridor, to make a few comments.
Good evening, Mayor McFarland, Mayor Pro Tem Huddleston, and the rest of council. It's my honor to be here with you tonight. Feels like it's been a while, so it's good to see you all again. Our goal has always been to provide a safe place for young people to go when they're not in school. And while we've had at least one club open throughout the entire pandemic, we've been forced to operate for most of this time with limited capacity and, as a result, a waiting list. Over the past year, we have realized that we need to put all of our resources towards accomplishing the goal of providing a safe place for kids. Taking over operations of the Lincola Recreation Center will allow us to serve more Casa Grande youth, and not operating the Youth Soccer League will allow us to put all of our focus on our after-school and summer programs. At the same time, we want to make sure that the Youth Soccer League continues to be offered. It was the job that brought me to this organization 18 years ago, and it's certainly a baby of mine, so I certainly have some vested interest in that. And in talking to Parks and Recreation staff, we know that they will be able to put more time and resources into this league than we have been able to recently. So we look forward to continuing the legacy that the city has created with the Lincola Recreation Center. We met with Michelle Cola, Lincola's daughter, earlier this summer and shared our plans with her. She was excited to hear about our plans for expanded services and that the facility will continue to have her father's name. And in our discussions with the Community Services Department, both organizations talked about the importance of making sure that our new services are always available to current Lincola families. With that in mind, all Palo Verde and Vilago middle school students, plus any other current Lincola members, will always be given first priority when registering for the programs at that facility. And as Steve mentioned earlier, these same students will be able to attend our programs in this facility for free for at least the next 3 years. We're beginning to look at some models to continue that once that part of the partnership is over. When school starts later this month, our plan is to close the building and begin a small renovation project. This project will take the 2 open spaces in the small office on the west side of the building and turn them into 3 classrooms, an art room, a games room, and a computer lab. We anticipate this project will take 3 to 5 months, but once it is completed, we will be able to serve up to 150 students every day in this facility in a safe and effective manner. During this time, we will open a temporary club at Palo Verde Elementary School so that there will never be a disruption of services for these students. I'd be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to publicly recognize and thank our board of directors and our staff as well. These 2 groups have worked incredibly hard over the past 16 months. Their efforts not only kept our doors open since the pandemic started, but also allowed us to be able to meet both temporary and long-term needs as well. It seems crazy to me that we are going to expand and open our 7th club in the middle of a pandemic, but the need for safe places for kids to go when they aren't in school has only increased. And we are in a position to talk about this program swap, because of our board of directors and our staff. We've got a couple of them with us tonight, and thank you guys for coming as well. So thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight, and thank you again for considering our proposal. At this time, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Mr. Powell?
I have a statement rather than a question. I think that has been there for a long time. The community around it's really proud of it. And the fact that a year, for 3 years, to provide scholarships to the Boys and Girls Club members who have historically utilized it in the schools in the area, I think is really key. I think that's so important to have it accepted in that community and for them not to lose the ability to use the facility.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Absolutely. You're welcome.
Go ahead, Bob.
This is probably more for Steve. And I too appreciate the effort made to not leave any children out that were part of Lincola or going into Boys and Girls Club. But I do wonder, is there any adult programs that this transition will leave behind? Has there been adult basketball league or anything like that using that gymnasium?
Sure. One of the key factors in the proposal is that we'll still have access to the building.
Okay.
And so our normal summer program or after-school program did not include adult programming until after the kids left. And so we'll have the exact same features of use of the building.
As we had last year? Or?
Yeah, for instance, in the winter, we have line dancing during the week, during the day. So that would happen during school hours when the kids aren't there.
Okay.
Youth basketball and adult basketball, drop-in pickleball, things like that would happen after 6 p.m.
Okay, thank you.
Donna?
I just have just a couple points. First of all, thank you to Steve and Matt for meeting with me about this project a few weeks back. I think for me, the priority was to make sure our current members were included, and you have proven that to be happening. The extended hours is really important to me because I think that that's something that our community is lacking. And then obviously a 50% savings to, to the city. It's a win-win situation for us. And the Boys and Girls Club has a stellar reputation in this community, and I can't think of anyone that, deserves to have this partnership more than Matt and his staff. So thank you.
And one note to add on to that, I truly look at this as a partnership. If the Boys and Girls Club didn't exist, we would be providing after-school and summer programming. And so this partnership allows a technical expert to provide those programs for us, while we can provide the youth sports and recreational programs on the other end. So we look at it as definitely a win-win partnership.
Matt?
Yeah, the Boys and Girls Club and City of Casa Grande have had a very beneficial partnership for over 20, 25 years. Matt, when you were in junior high, or?
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
okay. But,
We were in high school together. It wasn't that long ago.
But, I just want to say that I'm excited about this because, to Steve's point, the Boys and Girls Club National Program has all the programming, the education piece, the art piece, the sports piece, that is proven system, helps the kids with their homework, and knows what kids are doing these days, and have a great grasp of how to serve our community. So I'm excited to see that they're doing that, and also carrying on with the Len Cola's legacy, and so I appreciate that, Matt, that you guys reached out to them, and made sure they were good with it, and it sounds like they're very excited. One question I did have is, how many youth participants do we have at the Len Cola Center currently?
Currently, one thing that I failed to mention is that the Boys and Girls Club have been temporarily running some programs during the COVID pandemic because we closed our programs. And so they've been operating, and prior to, let's say pre-pandemic, we were probably using 40 to 60 kids in our program, and they'll increase that number to 150.
Yeah, so more than double what we're serving now. So that just the more kids that you can touch, we can touch. And it goes back to what I've said is the city's good at building buildings and running some programs, and the Boys and Girls Club is really great at running after-school programs and education programs. So again, this is a win-win. And Matt, just remember who was the president of the board when you were hired as the director.
I was going to say that we have a long line of great board presidents, so it goes both ways.
Thank you, Matt.
So, thank you.
All right. Jeff or Lisa, do you guys have any comments or questions?
Mayor, I actually just have a comment. Of course, I'm happy to see this partnership, and it's so nice to see us maximizing the use of that facility. Of course, I'm going to, bring up the issues on adult programming because I do think it's vital for that area. When we were considering the recreation center and everything that was going into that, we did talk about Lencola and what they offered the community, and we were trying to spread out, the services and programs. So I'm happy to see that we are going to continue the evening, and I think it's critical to continue with the evening activities there to provide those services and spread it out throughout the community. But I'm really excited about the partnership and us serving the youth in that area, and I know Matt and his staff will do a fantastic job growing that, the services there. So thank you, Matt, again, and I'm happy to see the partnership.
Thank you, Lisa. Jeff, do you have any comments or questions?
No, just a thank you to Matt and Steve for working out this partnership. I'm excited for it.
Great, thank you. And I would echo everybody else's sentiments up here and on the phone. In full disclosure, I'm a huge supporter of the Boys and Girls Club, so this partnership, I think, will be critical. Will be critical for the Lencola area. I think we'll be able to add and to serve more youth and continue to serve adult programming as well. So I think it's just a great, marriage of expertise between the city and the Boys and Girls Club. So Matt and Steve, thank you guys for putting this together, and thanks to the board, also the Boys and Girls Club board, for their support of this as well. So
Thank you.
thank you. All right, seeing no other comments or questions, then I will call for an ordinance number, please, Gloria.
Ordinance number 3284, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, approving a lease agreement between the City of Casa Grande and the Boys and Girls Club of the Sun Corps, accepting a proposal from the Boys and Girls Club of the Sun Corps to provide youth programming, and authorizing expenditure of public funds, and authorizing the execution of an agreement by the city manager.
Mayor McFarland, I move approval of ordinance number 3284 as presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember Lavender.
Yes.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Councilmember Powell.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Huddleston.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, so we'll move to boards and commissions. Tonight, we're going to consider the appointment of Eddie Mankell to the Board of Appeals with the terms to expire August 4th, 2025, and also approving the appointment of Rusty Riggs to the Board of Appeals with the terms to expire on August 4th, 2024. So I want to thank both these gentlemen for volunteering. They're both in the construction trade, so they'll be a great addition to the appeals board. And Don and I did interview both of them, and they're both very excited to be a part of it. So we want to present this to the council tonight for approval. I'll entertain a motion to approve the.
Move approval
Second.
of the selection.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? All right, so J1 is approved. Thank you again to Eddie Mankell and to Rusty Riggs. Item J2 is consider approving the appointment of Andrea Varela to the Parks and City Recreation Advisory Board with a term to expire on February 1, 2023, and approve a waiver for her as she's on another committee membership. So this will be a waiver of the committee membership rule. And a big thank you to Andrea, and really thank you to everybody who volunteers for our boards and commissions. I think Andrea was excited to be a part of the Parks and Rec board. So Don and I are recommending her for approval.
So moved with the waiver?
Okay.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right, J2 is approved. Again, thank you, Andrea. Under J3, this is considered the reappointment of Dennis Jenkins to the IDA Board, the Industrial Development Authority, with a term to expire on August 4th, 2027. And this recommendation comes from their chairman, Mr. Red Fitzgibbons. So I am passing this along to the council for approval. Any comments or questions on it? Mr. Powell?
I just think Dennis is an obvious candidate. He's being reappointed. He has experience there, so I think he would be an asset.
That's right, it's a reappointment. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, J3 is approved. Thank you, Dennis, for your service. And that is, we have one more item, L1. I almost blew by it, Brett.
Small.
This is under, yeah, just a small item, just the budget. Public meeting and public hearing, this is item L1 regarding the proposed fiscal year 21-22 final budget and property tax levy.
Mayor and Council, this evening we will be reviewing the city's final 2022 final budget schedules, and we will highlight some of the areas of interest in the budget and seek council's approval for a resolution adopting the final budget. Building Casa Grande's budget was done in alignment with the organization's mission, vision, and strategic plan. The process began in late January, and we are now at the point where we will be asking council to adopt the final budget in a special meeting later this evening. Have some, it's not cooperating. I apologize. Okay. A few highlights for us to look at, for you to look at this evening. The budget, we're recommending a final budget, and that includes transfer of $300.7 million. But the total budget, excluding transfer, which you will be asked to approve this evening, is a budget of $281.5 million. Our expenditure limitation set by the State Department of Revenue is $248.9 million. And later in the presentation, I will show you where this amount is way above what our budget that is subject to the expenditure limitation is. We are anticipating no increase in primary property taxes. We are projecting a primary property tax levy of $4.3 million, and that is below the maximum for requiring a truth in taxation hearing. We're anticipating a slight increase, if I should use the word slight, in secondary property taxes. I have also provided you with an outline of the secondary property tax rates from fiscal 2018 to fiscal 22. You will note that in fiscal years 18 and 19, the secondary property tax rates were at 60 cents. We're projecting a secondary property tax rate for fiscal 22 at 57 or 570 cents. This budget would maintain levels of service as they currently were in fiscal 21. And where necessary, the budget expands services that were restricted due to the COVID pandemic. Get it? Okay. This budget provides also for bond proceeds to pay off the PSPRS unfunded liabilities. We projected $68 million. In the next meeting or so, the council would be asked to approve the authority to float bonds for this expenditure. We're providing also $14 million of bond proceeds for capital projects, $3 million of bond proceeds to fund bond issuance costs. The budget also contains merit increases adjusted for the compensation and class study. We're providing for 12 new positions. In our tentative budget, we mentioned 8 positions. We highlighted 8 positions. We have since added 4 new positions to that list. In the tentative budget, we highlighted 8 vacant positions that remained authorized but unfunded. For the final budget, we have 7 vacant positions. We moved the paralegal position that was unfunded, has been moved to a funded position since the mayor and council approved the body cam project that was presented by the police department. The budget also includes proposed funding for capital projects totaling $70.2 million, and included in that amount is $6 million of contingency. In the following slides, I will walk mayor and council through the breakdown of the numbers that are presented in Schedule A before you. As I indicated earlier, despite the fact that our total budget that we're presenting to council this evening is $281.5 million, and our expenditure limitation amount is $248.9 million, We are not going above, we're not projecting to go above the expenditure limitation. We have exclusions, and I've provided to council a breakdown of the exclusions. $85 million of bond proceeds, $31.7 million of federal grants, $11.2 million of health expenditure, and $2.7 million of airport capital grants. So with all of these exclusions, our budget that will be subject to expenditure limitation would be $150.9 million. This slide identifies available resources for each of the major fund types. Available resources include fund balance and estimated revenues for fiscal 22. As you will see, the general fund makes up 41% of the available resources in the fiscal year 2022 budget, with special revenue funds making up 15% of the resources of that budget. Also from Schedule A, this slide would help reassure Mayor and Council that our estimated resources reflected in gray are sufficient to meet our projected expenditures reflected in gold for fiscal year 2021. So we have made sure in all of our deliberations on the budget and all of our discussions that we have available resources to meet the total budget that is being presented to council today. All right, a brief look at our property tax rates. For fiscal 22, we're projecting primary property tax rate of $1.0148, and for the secondary property tax, 5.702 cents. For total primary property tax levy of $4,207,004, and for secondary property tax levy of $2,297,380. Now that we have talked about our revenues or sources of funds, we will turn our attention now to the uses or expenditures of funds. The general fund, as you will see, makes up approximately 47% of the total budget for fiscal 2022. Our total budget is $281 million. The budget on the general fund is $133.6 million. This will be of interest to Mayor and Council, I think. We made sure to give Mayor and Council a quick look at what our general fund resources are, along with where we anticipate us ending the fiscal year and the level of fund balance that we anticipate having by the end of fiscal year 2022. Our total revenue under the general fund, we're projecting $128.5 million. Of course, as I indicated earlier, total expenditures of $133.6 million. We're anticipating a projected fiscal year 21 cash or fund balance of $71 million. Transfers out for a total of $17 million. And we're looking at the revenue stabilization of $32.8 million. The interesting part here is that after we've set aside that $32.8 million, after we've transferred out of the general fund into the other funds where necessary, we anticipate the city would end the fiscal year with a projected fund balance of $15.9 million, which makes up 24% of the projected expenditures of the city minus the expenditures through bond proceeds. So I think that's a healthy outlook on the financial resources of the city. General fund impact. This slide is to give Mayor and Council an overview of the areas funded through the general fund, with personnel being the largest portion of the general fund expenditures. We're projecting personnel at $112 million. Of course, Council understands that we have $68 million included in that 112 for PSPRS debt offset. The second largest part of the expenditures on the general fund is for contractual services, which make up $12 million of the overall budget of the general fund. General fund expenditures by service area, and that's from Schedule E of the official budget forms. That shows where we expect to spend our general fund resources by service area. We anticipate, of course, a $133 million general fund expenditure budget, with public safety having the largest share of the budget. If we exclude the $68 million of bond proceeds from general government. Note also that the regular budget for general government, excluding bond proceeds, is $18 million, which includes contingency of $3.5 million. Of course, we understand that the $68 million of bond proceeds is technically a public safety expenditure, since the bonds would be issued to offset the debt, the PSPRS debt, which are related to debt which is related to police and fire personnel costs. Expenditures by service area for all funds, and this is from Schedule F of the official budget form. Schedule F provides an overview of expenditures for all funds by service area. In the aggregate, Public Works has the largest share of funding, since Mayor and Council will be approving in this budget several large projects that will be managed by Public Works, including the Thornton Road and sewer and wastewater projects. On this slide, we're providing Mayor and Council an overview of the capital improvement projects. We're projecting capital improvement projects of $70 million, which of course, as I indicated earlier, includes $6 million of contingency. I will run quickly through the largest projects. On this list to your right, we have to the left of the screen, Thornton Road widening, $9 million. Sewer improvement expansion projects, $5.7 million. Replacing fire stations at $21 million. So we have several projects that are included in our budget, and as I indicated, that's for a total of $70 million. Here we give, staff is giving council a look at the FTEs projected for fiscal year 2022. If you look at the 2021 column, we projected in fiscal 21 a total FTEs of 492.39 positions. However, the decrease between 21 and 22 is because part-time, non-benefited, and seasonal staff positions were included in the fiscal 21 numbers. But in collaboration with Human Resources Department, we eliminated the part-time, non-benefited, and seasonal staff from the FTE count, and hence the reason for the reduction in part to 475.05 FTEs for fiscal 22. Okay, on personnel expenses, we're projecting rounded $49 million in personnel costs, and that does not include overtime. It doesn't include part-time, non-benefited positions, and it doesn't include the SCMPO staff funding. Together with the overtime, part-time, non-benefited, and SCMPO staff funding, we are projecting total personnel costs of $49 million in the FY22 budget. Key dates, right now we're in the process of going through the public hearing, and later this evening council will be approving the final budget for fiscal year 2022. The council will meet to adopt the property tax levy on August 2nd, 2021, the first reading, with the final reading to be held on August 16th, 2021. Staff recommends that council adopts a resolution to set the fiscal year 2022 final budget per the attached schedule and the information presented to mayor and council this evening. I pause for any questions.
Yeah, we're going to vote on this in the special hearing, correct?
Yes.
It'll follow right after this. Yeah, you want to ask questions now?
Well, I have something I can't vote for, but I'll wait till it comes to a vote.
Okay. You don't have any questions?
No.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Anybody on the phone? Lisa? Jeff?
No.
No, sir.
Okay. So this was just more information. Oh, yeah, that's right. Pardon me. It does say public hearing. So as it being a public hearing, this is also an opportunity for the public to address the council on the proposed fiscal year 2021-22 final budget and property tax levy. And Larry, we have other opportunities to talk about the tax levy too, don't we?
Members of the council, as Angel has pointed out, the tax levy will be voted on
In August.
in the August 3rd meeting. I'm sorry, thank you, Brett. August 2nd council meeting.
Okay. All right. No questions? All right. Seeing none, then I will call for reports. So Lisa, you're on the phone. Remember, we want to go see some of the Suns game.
I wanted to make one more.
No report from me.
Oh, all right. Mr. Lavender?
None here, sir.
All right. Mr. Powell, if you want to make a comment?
Well, I had brought it up before, but on the tax,
Yeah, this is on reports. Mr.
I
Powell?
know, but the tax thing is done, or we're,
No.
You can certainly discuss items related to the budget at the special session to follow.
Which follows this
Remember,
meeting.
reports, you will be taking action on the tax levy.
so I should wait till after the meeting's over with?
Wait till we go into the special meeting.
Okay,
Is that all right? He can talk about it in the special meeting, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll talk about it then.
I'm good.
Okay. Bob, any reports?
No report, Mayor.
Matt?
Go Suns.
Donna?
I just want to say thanks to Steve and Community Services for the 4th of July celebration. I know they put a lot of work into it. I've heard some really good comments about the firework display. That's it. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, I do have.
And I just want to remind everybody, COVID is still here. I'm hearing that some younger people getting sick. So please be careful. Please get vaccinated. Mr. Powell, you had a comment.
Yeah, I would like to recognize that our community has a lot of talented people that go to different places and do different things. Recently, we had the Ramos brothers that are champion boxers, and they claim they're from Casa Grande, Arizona. When we went up to Prescott this last weekend, there's a group of little girls from probably maybe 8 or 9 up down to 5 or 6. There's 4 of them, and they have a bluegrass festival up there, and they're called the Arizona Wildflowers, and they did a fantastic job. And as far as I like rodeos and ropings and that type of thing, and the Allen boys have done exceptionally well this year. One of them placed 4th in the Bob Feist, which is a premier roping that takes place all year. His brother is in the college finals right now. And we've got one that's a world champion header that lives just outside of our city limits to the east of Casa Grande. So we've got a lot of things going and a lot of reasons to be proud of our community. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Seeing no other comments, then I will adjourn tonight's regular city council meeting. Grande City Council on this July 2nd. So we'll call the meeting to order. Let the roll call show that there are 5 council members present in the chamber, and we have 2 on the phone. Under new business, we have C1, which is consider approval of resolution number 5317, adopting the budget for the fiscal year 2021 and 22. So we've heard from everyone on what the budget is about. We've talked about it and met about it at length. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Are we talking about the tax part too, or just,
You can
Tax
talk
revenue.
about it.
Speaking to any portion of the budget, which
yeah, any
includes the
Okay.
revenues as well as the
Okay.
expenditures.
well, I'll go ahead. The property tax levy amount, property tax is tough for a lot of people. And I know that we are going to face, we're actually incurring inflation right now when you go to the grocery store, to the gas station, or all those kind of things. It's costing more money to live in America, to live in Casa Grande. And what I can't accept is basically in 2021, the secondary property taxes were $1,108,799, but they doubled in 2022 to $22,973.80, and I don't see why we have to have our taxpayers and our residents have to pay that rate of secondary tax. So that's my problem. I can't support it or vote for it.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, if I can provide, and I certainly understand Councilmember Powell's perspective on this, and what I'd like to do is just focus just briefly on the secondary property tax and tie that into what is an aggregated property tax with our primary property tax. And I've asked Mr. Weaver to bring back up the slide that ultimately outlines our secondary property tax. As you can see, starting in fiscal, and let me start by saying that the secondary property tax is simply levied to pay the annual debt service on the GO bonds that were issued in 2006. So we've built those projects, we've issued debt along the way, and ultimately the secondary property tax is used 100% to pay the annual debt service for that. And so the
But
rate
it's being
is,
paid by the community.
that's right. It's levied on property just like your primary property tax is. The secondary property tax is essentially utilized to pay the annual debt service on the bonds we've issued since 2006. Okay, and so if you'll look at the slide here, you'll see that in fiscal year 18, 19, and 20, or excuse me, and I have a different chart. I have one going back to fiscal year 2016, where our secondary property tax was 63 cents per hundred of assessed valuation. It was 63 cents in 2017. It was 60 cents in 2018. It was 60 cents in 2019. In fiscal year 20, the property tax, as has been pointed out, was reduced to 27 cents per hundred of assessed valuation. But the reason it was reduced in that particular fiscal year had to do with a new statutory requirement that essentially it was actually passed in House Bill 2011, and it amended the state statute 35458 to clarify that all levies set for secondary taxes shall be net of all cash excess of 10%. So essentially what had transpired leading up to fiscal year 20 is that we had built a fund balance in that debt service fund. And ultimately, the legislature passed this new statute, and it required the city to utilize that fund balance which essentially drove down the amount that we needed to levy at that point in time. And staff presented that to the mayor and council, and essentially advising you that our biggest concern with this new statute is that it's going to give a perception to the residents. They're going to see this, they're going to see the drop, and then they're going to see the increase when we've spent that fund balance. And so this is what we're dealing with today. Ultimately, just to kind of broaden the discussion just briefly for the mayor and council, and to tie in the secondary property tax, or excuse me, the primary property tax, if we had the primary property tax rate there, you might recall that the city has always attempted to levy right around $1. Our primary property tax levy has been 99 cents. 2016, 99 cents. 2017, 99 cents. 2018, 99 cents. 2019, 99 cents. In fiscal year 20, when we presented the situation that it had resulted through the state statute, and we were reducing our secondary tax rate, the mayor and council considered the potential of increasing our primary property tax, essentially trying to maintain an aggregated rate to our residents, and utilizing the additional revenue stream that we generated to be applied to the public safety pensions. You may recall that. Again, staff at that point in time indicated that we asked for guidance from the council and related to the aggregated rate. What we were always attempting to do, knowing that the secondary rate was going to increase in order to pay the debt service, we ultimately knew that our primary property tax would be dropping as well. And so to give the council a bit of a perspective, if you go back to fiscal years 16, 17, and 18, our aggregated primary and secondary tax rate was roughly $1.63, $1.63 per 100 assessed value. In fiscal year 19, it was $1.59 per 100 assessed value. In fiscal year 20, again, to comply with the statute, ultimately, it dropped to $1.33. So I guess.
So Larry, in those years, in 20 and 21, we used our excess
fund balance
to buy that down because we had too much in the fund balance.
Mr. Mayor, in fiscal year 20, that did transpire. In fiscal year 21, quite frankly, the mayor and council may recall that we had interim staff that were handling our budget process for us, and there was an oversight that took place in fiscal year 21. In fiscal year 21, because we did not levy sufficient revenue stream through the secondary property tax, we essentially utilized revenue streams from other sources to make up the difference, okay? And so certainly, again, I understand Mr. Powell's point. I guess the point that I want to make is that if the council elects not to levy the secondary property tax at 5702, or 5702, which is being proposed, we will need to come up with another revenue stream to essentially pay the debt service for those GO bonds. And I say that very delicately, I guess, because I will tell you that when you're dealing with GO bonds, there are certain covenants and restrictions that take place as these bond holders are actually buying our bonds. And while I don't have a lot of explanation for options to consider to replace this particular funding, what I would caution the council is that if you're concerned about the secondary rate, then we should be having some discussions about a blended rate, perhaps lowering our primary property tax and dealing with the loss of revenues in the general fund in order to ensure that we're levying the proper amount for the secondary tax. Now, and just one thing, Mr. Mayor, and I'll entertain questions. Please know that the mayor and council are not considering our tax rates tonight. That's going to be done on August the 2nd. What we're asking for is approval of the budgets, but obviously it ties very closely.
That affects the budget,
and
doesn't
so, and so I would ask, Mr. Mayor, and again, we're following the statutory calendar requirements from a timing perspective with how we're introducing these various options, or the various agenda items to mayor and council. If by chance, as you're adopting or considering the final budget, if there is a an ultimate concern on the part of council, and you would like us to develop options to essentially reduce our aggregated tax, then we'll be more than glad to do that as we're moving into the tax consideration in August. But with that, Mr. Mayor, I'd entertain any questions.
Mr. Huddleston?
Yes, what I was going to suggest, I think actually over the last 6 or 7 years, we've shown a remarkable consistency
That's correct.
in the actual tax, except for those 20 and 21,
Right.
which was an anomaly, but it was a dip.
Right.
And I think if we see Schedule B that includes a total of 6 years or 7.
Onto this slide too, Larry.
Right,
Yeah, I think that'll show a clear picture that we've been very consistent.
Yeah.
right.
I agree. Matt?
Also, what I'm hearing, Larry, is affecting the secondary property tax rate could affect our bonding capacity going forward if we don't meet our obligations that we already have that people voted on, correct?
Right.
And we're looking at selling some bonds in the
Right.
very near future is part of our plan.
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Herman, it does not, the decision on the tax levy would not directly impact the capacity number. There are state statutes that drive our capacity numbers and what we can actually bond for. But your point about this being.
Could affect our rating.
It could potentially affect our rating from a revenue perspective. You do make a very good point, at least in my opinion, that these are bonds that were approved by our voters. And when we actually went out to our voters, we actually had proposed rates that were greater than what we've collected. We've really tried to stagger our projects, as the mayor and council knows, in order to maintain a secondary tax rate was at a rate less than what we had proposed in 2006 when we went to our voters and asked them to consider those capital projects.
Thank you.
Donna, any comments? Nope. Any comments from Mr. Lavender or Mrs. Fitzgibbons?
No, ma'am.
Yeah, Mayor.
Go ahead, Lisa.
Mayor, I just wanted to make a comment. I do remember, and I understand where Dick is coming from because, of course, I've never been a supporter of raising the tax rates, and I do specifically remember what happened, like you recapped, Larry, in 2020, and I know we had some concerns when that statutory requirement came up, and I do remember when we raised the primary tax at that time, we were very conservative. And Dick, you probably remember this too. We were very conservative when staff came and made recommendations to raise, I think there were 3 different levels. We were really conservative on the increase in that the primary tax. We kind of went the lower recommendation because of our concern with how it's going to look on the primary tax rate, even though the secondary tax rate went so low. So I understand your concern, Dick, but I do, I think kind of like what Councilmember Huddleston said, we've been pretty consistent over the years, and so I'm comfortable with that. Just even though it looks like we're raising it so much, but it's really kind of going back to where we were a couple of years before. That statutory requirement. So, but I do remember these discussions, and I do remember the concern that we had at that time, and of course that that's where we are today, going back to that time. So,
Yeah, and I would concur with Lisa's comments. I think, and Mr. Huddleston's. I think that we were at 163, we were at 159, and then we dropped down into that 130 range and unfortunately for 2 years. That we didn't catch it last year, and then now we're back more to 157, so we're back to that more of that normal rate. So I don't have any concerns with it myself. Anybody else have any other comments? Mr. Powell, did you have any final comments?
No, I don't. As I say, I just don't feel like we can do this on the backs of our constituents.
Okay. Any other comments on the phone?
no.
No, sir.
Okay. Seeing no other comments, then I will call for a resolution number, please.
Resolution number 5317, a resolution of the Council of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, adopting the budget for fiscal year 2021 through 2022.
Mayor McFarland, I would move for approval of resolution number 5317 as presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember Lavender.
Yes.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Councilmember Powell.
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Huddleston.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, well, thank you, everybody, and I'll adjourn tonight's special meeting.